Okay, so first of all, I want to welcome everybody, and I want to thank the Rabbi for agreeing to speak. It's really such a privilege and an honor to have him. I want to introduce him properly. First of all, I want to mention his new book called A Day to Create Yourself, Shabbos, A Day to Create Yourself. So Rabbi Dr. Warren Goldstein is the current Chief Rabbi of South Africa and a global Jewish leader, affectionately referred to as Chief and a spiritual entrepreneur. He has launched and led a number of innovative social projects with global reach and impact. Locally, his Bill of Responsibilities, adopted by the Department of Education and taught in schools nationwide, has shown a new generation of young South Africans the importance of compassion and respect for the dignity and well-being of others. CAP, a unique community-driven crime-fighting initiative that protects 30,000 homes and upwards of 250,000 people, and has reduced contact crime in its area of operation by between 80 and 90%. And Sinai in Daba, if I said that correctly, the largest annual Torah convention of its kind. Two of his local projects have been embraced and championed by World Jury, Generation Sinai, an annual family learning experience, as well as the Shabbos Project, which unites Jews annually in over 1,000 cities on an unprecedented scale. The youngest person to ever be elected to the position, Chief Rabbi Goldstein is a strong advocate for creative, proactive leadership and effective partnership to find unique solutions to the challenges of our time. He is featured on the Algemeener's top 100 people positively influencing Jewish life multiple times and has a regular study session with South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa. He is an executive member of South Africa's National Religious Leaders Council, through which he is involved with strengthening interfaith religions in the country between Jews, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and other faiths, as well as engaging with the government on national policy matters. A qualified Jewish law judge, Rabbi Goldstein has published several books, including African Soul Talk, When Politics is Not Enough, Defending the Human Spirit, Jewish Law's Vision for a Moral Society, Sefer Mishpat Tzedek, a detailed analysis of Torah business law and ethics, with particular focus on competition law, and The Legacy, Teachings for Life from the Great Lithuanian Rabbis with Rabbi Berelwein. The Chief Rabbi has a PhD in human rights and constitutional law, and is a regular columnist for the Jerusalem Post and Age.com. So thank you so much. We are so privileged to have you, and I'm just going to go off now. I feel nervous. I'm going to go off my video. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Naomi, thank you for such a gracious introduction, and also the honor of the invitation to address your group. You know, what I thought perhaps we could do is I'll share, an idea for Rosh Hashanah, as I understand, is in a sense the brief for today, just to share some ideas for Rosh Hashanah, for the new year, and I will perhaps share those ideas for 15-20 minutes, and then I'm happy to open for questions and to take a few questions if that's the format of this. And I don't know if that makes sense to you. I'm happy to do so, and thank you so much for the invitation, as well as the very warm and very, very generous introduction. And I think that when considering Rosh Hashanah this year, something that stands out very prominently is of course that the first day of Rosh Hashanah takes place on Shabbat. And I perhaps people may accuse me of looking at everything through the lens of Shabbat. I mean, the Shabbos project is this year celebrating 10 years. It's its 10th anniversary. It started in South Africa in 2013. And my new book about Shabbat that Naomi referred to has just been published this year. And so in a sense, it is really, the lens through which I look at so much. But that lens comes from having seen its power with Jews all around the world. Because when the Shabbos project began in South Africa in 2013, there was a sense, well, is this something that can only work in South Africa? But then, the following year, it spread all around the world. And I've seen the power and the beauty of Shabbos to connect with Jews. And so I think that the fact that the very first day of the new year is Shabbos is sending us a message and really a calling. Because think about this year Rosh Hashanah, on first day we will not be hearing and fulfilling the mitzvah of blowing the shofar, and when you consider that the mitzvah of blowing shofar first day is a mitzvah doraisa, it is a Torah mitzvah, and yet we're not going to be fulfilling it because our sages were concerned that the sounding of shofar would lead to the desecration of Shabbos. And so therefore they said to all of Am Yisrael, wherever we may be, don't fulfill this mitzvah, this Torah mitzvah of blowing the shofar, because we don't want that to infringe on the sanctity of Shabbos. That is a very powerful statement. Sometimes the most powerful statements are the statements which we make about the things that we do not do, the omission. And so on first day Rosh Hashanah, just in a few days' time, the statement declaring our connection to Shabbos will be made in an omission, in the silence, that after the reading of the Torah, that at that point where we would normally hear the blowing of the shofar, there will be no blowing of the shofar, because the sanctity and the presence of Shabbos is something that will be felt by all of us. And so I think it's worthy of reflecting about that and what it could mean for us in the what it could mean in the year ahead. And I think that it causes then us to reflect on what Shabbos can mean to each and every single one of us. And so what I explored in my book, and this is what I wanted to share with you in the short time that we have together, is a framework for how to understand it. And in general, it's a framework in terms of understanding all of the mitzvahs. It's a framework for understanding how and why Hashem, God, gave us commandments. He doesn't need our obedience. This is a point which is made, and a lot of the framework of the book is based on the philosophy of one of our great sages from the 1300s, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, known as the Ramban. And he says, quoting from a midrash, that does God really care? Does God need us? Does he need for himself, for us to fulfill his commandments? He is above that because he created us. He created this world. He created the Torah. How can he need us to obey him? And so often when we think about God, we think about him in terms of how we understood Hashem as children. And as children, our view of God was very much modeled around how we viewed our parents. And we had a very similar paradigm, that in the same way parents need our obedience, we think, well, God is our parent. He's our Father in heaven, and therefore he needs our obedience. And in the same way that our parents command or demand respect from us, so too God commands and demands respect from us. But the analogy falls apart because Hashem is transcendent above all of this. We are his creations. He doesn't need us in a way that our parents need us. He gives us the commandments, explains the Ramban, not because he needs our obedience, but because we need to follow him, and we need to obey his commandments so that we can grow and fulfill the purpose for which our soul was sent into this world. And really that is what Rosh Hashanah is about. Rosh Hashanah is that moment in the year where we stop and we think to ourselves, well, why are we here? We say in the Rosh Hashanah davening, Hayom Haras Olam, today the world was created, which refers to the creation of the first human being, Adam and Eve. That was a combined being, Adam and Chava. And at that moment, that is when the notion of a creature, B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of God, came into existence. And the day of Rosh Hashanah is a commemoration and a celebration of the creation of the first human beings. And so what we realize with that is the fact that God created us and that he sent us here for a purpose. And in essence, who are we? As the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, Al korchach ata noitzar, al korchach ata meis. we against your will, you are conceived and born, and against your will, you leave this world. Who is the you in that statement in Pirkei Avot? That is the soul, the neshama. The soul is with God and doesn't want to come down, and God sends the soul down into this complicated world full of pain and suffering, confusion and murkiness, full also of joy and opportunity and growth opportunities, but daunting. And the soul stays where wants to stay where it is in the safety of Shemaim, of the heavens, and then comes down here on a mission. We need to remind ourselves of what that mission is. And on Rosh Hashanah, we remind ourselves of what that mission is. We remember that Hashem created us and he sent us here for a purpose. And that purpose is to develop the full potential of our soul. That is how the Maharal explains it. And the way that we develop the full potential of our soul is through the mitzvahs, the commandments that God gives us, which are in essence a tool for us from our Creator that he gives us out of his loving kindness. And one of the greatest tools that he gave us is that of Shabbat. He doesn't need us to keep Shabbat. He gave it to us because we need to keep it. Of course, the commandments are not optional extras. We know that because on Rosh Hashanah, we are held to account and we are judged about our fulfillment of the commandments. But he makes them instructions and he makes them binding and obligatory to us because we need it in order to fulfill our purpose so that we can maximize our potential and receive the greatest reward possible when we return to God after 120 years, please God, on this earth. And Shabbos gives us the opportunity to grow in all dimensions. And this is what I explored in the book. The book really emerged from the Shabbos project because in a certain sense, over the years, I started to see how Shabbos was connecting with Jews in former Soviet Union who had no connection to their Judaism, all the way into the heartland of the most Torah thriving communities of New York and Yerushalayim and Bnei Brak, and then across to Jews who have lost all connection with their heritage, assimilated and drifting, and yet you say the word Shabbos to a Jew and you explain the message of it, and something stirs in the soul and in the psyche, and people are drawn to it. And I've seen this time and time again over the last 10 years of the Shabbos project, how that Shabbat has the power to unite religious and secular, right and left, across all the entire spectrum of Israeli society. Even today, when the divisions seem so deep, what I've experienced just in the last 2 months, because my book has been translated as well into Hebrew and is being learnt in chavrusas with learning groups in Israel, where yeshiva bochrim and soldiers are learning about Shabbos together through my book, which is a testament to Shabbos, because my book is really just painting the picture of what Shabbos is and the depth of the spiritual connection that there is and its capacity to transcend the divisions. Because you would imagine, given the social and cultural conflicts which are taking place in the state of Israel today, you would imagine what would be a worse idea than a yeshiva bocher and a soldier learning together about Shabbat. Surely that would scratch on all of the nerves, and yet it is something which is deeply resonating with so many people, because in fact there is something about it. And so over these years I've been fascinated by it and started to delve more into Shabbos, which sounds like a strange thing to say for a rabbi, a chief rabbi. I learned the laws of Shabbos when I was in yeshiva. I taught them when I lectured in the yeshiva from which I received smicha. I have served in rabbinic positions, paskening, giving rulings on the matters of the laws of Shabbos, and yet I began to feel that I understood the laws, but not the spirit and not the vision, not the values. What is Shabbos? And so what I did was then go on a journey of discovery, and as any good rabbi would do, I hit the books and delved into the commentaries of hundreds of sages. In fact, in the bibliography of the book, you'll see more than 200 books which are referred to. And it took me on a journey of discovery where I started to understand more about the spirit, the values, and the inside of Shabbos, and how Shabbat, as I said in the title here, a day to create yourself, which in a certain sense sounds jarring. Shabbat is not a day to create. It's a day we stop creating. But actually what I point out in the book is that there is the creation the powers of creativity and creation that we have to impose our will on the surrounds, on the environment in which we live, the building up of the physical infrastructure of human civilization, the earning of a living, a parnasa, and then there is the inner work of building the person of who are we. We are not merely our work. There's a part of us which is so much more precious, the very part of us that cannot be touched, priced, or measured is the part of who we create, our relationships, our connection to God, our connection and closeness to our family, spouse, children, and siblings, to community, to the sense of duty, our connection to our own self, to our neshama, the mitzvahs that we do. All of these things are intangible, and yet the most important and profound part of who we are, that go to the very heart and the essence of our very being and the purpose for which we are here. And so what I explore in the book is how Shabbos gives us the platform to create ourselves in terms of our character, perspectives, and a formula for happiness, exploring that through the writings of hundreds of sages that have written about Shabbos over the generations. And I've written the book in such a way that those who are reading the book, who are coming to it from a perspective where they have no background in Judaism and in Torah learning, will be able to appreciate it for what it is, because the sources for all of the writings that I put are in the end notes of each chapter. And for those who coming with background and have learned and understood, they can look at the end notes at the end of each chapter, and we'll see the Gemaras, the Rishonim, the Achronim, all of the great sages and sources that make up the body of this book. And so really what it provides is an opportunity for personal growth through Shabbos. And so what I wanted to suggest to this illustrious forum, and I've heard so much about this forum and the group of women who are on this call, and the learning that you do together, and the work that you all do for the sake of the Jewish community and of strengthening Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people. I felt that if I may, what I would suggest, and I'm happy to take questions and discussion on it, what I would suggest is that a year in which the very first day of the year is Shabbos, and we feel the holiness of Shabbos, and it even sets aside the blowing of the shofar. And then what we can think about is the year ahead is not just about what we do, and that means even our mitzvahs, that we can just go through the motions of doing the mitzvahs, but who do we become? This was one of the great callings of the Musa movement founded by Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, where he said that a person can even just end up going through the motions of the mitzvahs and the keeping of halacha without being transformed. Who do we become as a result of keeping the mitzvahs? Are we just ourselves, or are we able to really transform ourselves? Are we a Jew who happens to keep Shabbat, or are we a Shabbos Jew, where our very being, our emotions, our feelings, our intellect, our sense of personality, our relationships is permeated by the faith, the character, the perspectives of what Shabbos is? And I think that when we're thinking about New Year's resolutions and we're thinking about tshuva, what we need to think about is not only, okay, there may be something that we've done wrong that we have to correct, but to think a bigger picture. What kind of a person can we be this time next year? Because what the greatest risk that we run in terms of personal development and fulfilling the purpose of our soul for which that we were put on this earth, is that we can just go through the motions. We can do another year and another year and another year, and we remain the same people. And we haven't grown, and we haven't developed, and we haven't become closer to God and to the people around us. We haven't become more refined, humble, kind, wise, and people of a sense of inner peace and of happiness and contentment and faith and connection and devotion to God and to those around us. Really, it is about the opportunity for personal transformation. And so what I would love to suggest to this group is two things. And perhaps you would join me as my partners in it. And if I may, that's what I would like to suggest. It's something my wife always teases me about, that when I meet new people, somewhere along the conversation, they may find themselves conscripted into the work of spreading Torah and Shabbos to as many Jews as possible. So you've invited me here. I'm starting the process of meeting you on this call, and if I may ask you to join me in this mission, because the Gemara says that Amar LaKadosh Baruch Hu LaMoshe, Hashem said to Moshe, Matana Tova yesh li beveisken azai, I have a precious gift in my treasure house, Shabbos Shema, and its name is Shabbos. And Vani Roitze Litna Lisol, I want to give it to the Jewish people. Leich v'hodiam, go and tell them. So we learn from this Gemara, Shabbos is a gift. Gift meaning it's not for Hashem, it's for us. And secondly, we need to go and tell as many Jews as possible, and we need to tell ourselves. And so my suggestion to all of you on the call is to get a copy of the book and to learn it. I should say, at the outset and right here, all of the proceeds of the book go straight back into the Shabbos project. And furthermore, I have a number of amazing partners and friends who have said that if we anyone who establishes a learning group around the book can get gift copies to get the learning group kick-started. And I want to make that offer, here on this group as well, that if you set up a learning group with others to learn the book, then there are amazing partners and sponsors out there who are ready to help you get started with that learning group. There are 45 chapters in the book. It's about a year's worth of learning, but each chapter takes no more than, on average, takes around 5 minutes to read the entire chapter. It's only 2-3 pages per chapter. They're short chapters. You can delve and think about them and spend time with them, but they lend themselves to open discussion, to interaction with people, to group learning in a very special way. So what I wanted to say is, for yourselves in your own lives, to really take this on for yourself on a personal path of growth, to learn the book, to go through this year, so that by the time you arrive at Rosh Hashanah next year, you will be a Shabbos Jew in the deepest sense of what that means. And it's really a sense of connecting and growing with it, not just reading the words. It's not a book that's meant to sit on a shelf. It is a book that needs to take you on a personal journey of growth. But more important, as Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Leich v'hodiam, go and tell them, go and tell the Jewish people about it. I know that Robin Meyerson is on the call. Robin is from, many of you I'm sure know her, from Arizona. She's been coordinating and running our Shabbos Project volunteers over the last 2 years in North America. And in the last few months, through Robin's amazing initiatives, more than 300 learning groups have been set up in North America alone, with thousands and thousands of copies of the book in circulation through those learning groups. It's been a remarkable journey, and it's something that I would so appreciate your partnership with, especially now as we're coming to Rosh Hashanah on first day, being Shabbos, and then this year's Shabbos project is on the 3rd and 4th of November. Which is the 10th anniversary. So it's in the lead up to, and especially in the follow on from, will be our opportunity to make this the year of Shabbos. So I want to thank you for your time and this opportunity to talk to you. I'm happy to take 1 or 2 questions if there are. Okay, so
First of all, thank you so much. This was really beautiful, and wow, 300 learning groups. What an amazing opportunity for all of us. Thank you so much. I think it's such a beautiful idea for everybody to take upon themselves to do this. In the Robin wrote down her number in the chat if anybody wants to get in touch with Robin. So I just, before I take questions, there's 1 or 2 questions we're going to take. No comments. Just a quick question so other people can have the opportunity. I just want to ask you one thing, Rabbi. Can you expand a little bit on the significance this year of having Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah come out on Shabbos? Could you expand on that a little bit? Is there more that we can understand about that, or?
Well, I think apart from what I said is that about the statement of not blowing shofar, which shows the power and the sanctity of Shabbos, there is something else which there's a very deep connection between the two. Ultimately, if we ask ourselves Shabbos, it's true that it is very beneficial and beautiful for lifestyle, for the connection to family, and everybody understands that and is compelled by it. But ultimately, Shabbos, more than anything else, is about faith in a creator and a declaration that God created this universe. And I was being interviewed as part of the launch of the book by a journalist, and she said to me, Jewish journalist, who said to me that so moved by the concept of Shabbat and can see its tremendous benefits. What about a person who's an atheist? Can they connect with Shabbat? And I said, look, Shabbat is intertwined with the very notion of a creator. You cannot separate Shabbat from the creator. And I would say to any person who says they're an atheist, deep down they know they're not, because we know that the biggest driver of human behavior, according to Viktor Frankl, and that major school of psychology is the need for meaning. Meaning does not come from molecules; it comes from a neshama, from a soul, and a soul can only come from a creator. And human beings are naturally drawn to it. So Shabbos is about acknowledging Hashem as the creator of the universe. And Rosh Hashanah is Hayom Haras Olam. Today the world was created, is also about that. Hashem's kingship, and the Maharal says it about Rosh Hashanah. The reason we are judged on Rosh Hashanah is because Rosh Hashanah is the anniversary of Hashem becoming the king. He became a creator on day one of creation, the moment he said Vayihi Or, but he only became a king when he created Adam and Chava, because Ein Melech Belo Am, there is no king without a nation. There's no ruler without a nation. So even Hashem needed in inverted commas. He didn't really need us, but his identity as a king came. That is why Rosh Hashanah is the anniversary of the kingship of Hashem, which is why we are judged on Rosh Hashanah. All of that flows from it, but it's all linked to creation and the creation of the original human being, B'Tselem Elokim. So Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah actually draw from the very same foundation principles.
Wow, amazing. So I see we have a question. So Charlene, but a question, no comments, just a question. Go ahead. Go ahead, Charlene. You have to unmute yourself. Charlene? Your hand is up. Your video's on, but you're on mute. Okay, anybody else? Janice, you want to ask something?
Yes, thank you so much, Rabbi. Good event here. I'm on right away to start one of those groups. And is there a way to contact you specifically, please?
Yeah, sure. You can contact me on my email, chief at chiefrabbi.co.za. Or probably better, office at...
Can you write that down, please? It was too fast for me. I have very bad arthritis.
Office at chiefrabbi.co.za. But Robin has got all my details, so you can,
Right. You can just contact Robin. Robin left her phone number on the chat. So you can just look up Robin's phone number and you can contact her and she'll make all the arrangements. Okay, anybody else? Any questions for the rabbi? I see somebody else unmuted.
I unmuted. Hi, my name is Esty, and I just thank you so much for coming and giving the rabbi's precious time to us. It was unbelievable. I don't know if this is a question that's, can be answered on one leg, but I think you have the ability. I met someone in the, I do hospital work, and I saw this gentleman at the elevator and he looked very down, very heavy. And we just started talking. His daughter is in the psych unit. And I realized he's one of us. And I just was talking soul to soul. And then something to me says, we're very far apart. I'm not where you are at all. I do not believe in God. I do not believe in God. And be careful with me, because I could, turn you around the other way. So I wasn't, we left in a very beautiful way, and I keep going into that ward. So something struck me in how you spoke about your book and Shabbos, and I believe that, but because he has so many layers, is there an advice or I figured just by my kindness and actions, not pushing, I said okay.
I agree with you. Firstly, kindness, unconditional love. That is absolutely that is like a medicine for the soul. People, desperately need that. We need that from each other. I also think that the path of learning Torah, that's why I believe so much in this book, because it's not just about Shabbos, it's about the mitzvah of learning Torah. And our sages say that even if Klal Yisrael says, even if they leave me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they should learn my Torah, because I'm Orsha Machzim Lamutav, the light within it will bring them back to the good. And just the light within learning Torah has a tremendous power to bring a person closer to Hashem and to find the truth in the world. And so, that can apply to any Torah. And I'm saying in the context of my book, it's an opportunity to learn about Shabbos, but also to learn Torah. So I think it's love and learning Torah that is the best answer in these situations. But well done for the incredible mitzvah work that you are doing.
Okay, we're just going to take one more question. I think Ruti Gordon, I think, was first. Go ahead, Ruti. Ruti?
No.
Ruti, did you want to ask something?
No.
Okay, because you unmuted yourself. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, chas v'shalom, it's all good. Okay, we'll take one more question. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. I am living right now in Panama City of Panama. I want to tell you that here the Shabbat project is something really outstanding, amazing how it has brought so many people closer to the observance of Torah, Tizkul mitzvot. I want to ask you, how did you get inspired? What do you think gave you the sehut to be this, like the pioneer in this project all over the world?
So Elvira, thank you so much also for your your kind comments. I know Daniela Lowinger is doing amazing work there in Panama City and Panama around the Shabbat project, and many people. The Latin American countries have been such warm recipients of the Shabbat project. I'm very grateful. Such warm and lovely communities, and thank you for your kind remarks. Ultimately, what I've learned from this journey, ideas come from Hashem, and the success of the ideas come from Hashem. We just have to go out there and do our best. And sometimes in life, and it applies on some big projects, small things, you need courage more than anything else, just to go forward and have the courage and the determination to do things. And that courage can be in a group of friends where you decide you're not going to speak Lashon Hara, even if the rest of the group tell them not to. That courage can be that courage can be it can be in the form of starting a learning group about Shabbat with friends, and where it's a bit awkward to get it started, but you jump in and you do it, and that courage can be in terms of returning to Hashem and finding new ways to improve and to bring new things into your family. Every one of us in different ways can do things, but the starting point is courage. And that's why we say in the David Hashem Ori Vayishi, the pasuk says, Kavei el Hashem chazak v'yametz libecha. We need chizuk. I saw from the altar of Kelm, he writes an amazing thing. He says that Hashem said to Joshua, chazak v'yametz. He said, if Joshua needed chizuk and strength and courage from Hashem, and he was the person, he saw Kriyas Yamsuf, he saw Yetzias Mitzrayim, he saw Matan Torah, and he was the Talmid, the disciple of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he needed chizuk. How much more so we all do? So what we should do, and this is maybe a good note to end, we all should firstly give ourselves chizuk, be strong and courageous, go out there and do things. Don't worry about what people think, or just go out and do. And the other thing is give each other chizuk. That's, we need to give each other chizuk. We all need the encouragement. If Joshua needed it, we certainly need it. And I want to thank you all. And I really hope, Naomi, that we can all work together and spread this message.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And thank you, Rabbi. Thank you so much. This is so incredible. You should have so much hatzlacha with your beautiful project of Shabbos and bringing it to the rest of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now
And
me.
to everybody and a good year.
A good tour. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kol tuv. Be well. Okay, everybody.